Hello everyone, my name is Kiba Creer and I'm a manager for the Southern Nevada Water Authority. Over the past 20 plus years, my team has been working hard on improving and enhancing the Las Vegas Wash. As you can see from this drone imagery, the Las Vegas Wash is a large area full of great habitat for wildlife. In just a moment, you're going to meet two of my staff who are going to teach you all about this wonderful place and why it is so important to you, myself, and our community. Take it away, Julia.
Hi everybody, my name is Julia Lanto.
And I'm Tim Ricks. We are environmental biologists for the Southern Nevada Water Authority.
As environmental biologists, part of our job is to study how living organisms interact with each other and their environments. We get to work with birds, fishes, mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and insects. And the place where we study these animals is the Las Vegas Wash. Have you ever heard of the Las Vegas Wash before? If not, don't worry, we'll teach you all about it today.
So let's start with a little quiz. Do you know where your drinking water comes from? Here's a hint. The closest large body of water to Las Vegas is where we get our drinking water. If you guessed Lake Mead, you are correct.
Although we get our drinking water from Lake Mead, this water originates way up north as snow in the Rocky Mountains. Once the snow melts, it becomes runoff and travels through different states and rivers, eventually making its way down the Colorado River to Lake Mead. From there, we pump it to a water treatment facility and then to our homes and businesses.
Now, we don't get to use all of the water in Lake Mead. In fact, we only get a tiny little bit, just 300,000 acre feet, compared to the millions of acre feet that we send downstream to Arizona and California. To get to a better understanding of how much water that actually is, 1 acre foot is roughly 326,000 gallons. That's enough water to supply nearly 3 households with water for an entire year.
You may be wondering why we receive such a smaller amount of water than those other states. Well, back when they first split up how much each state would receive, almost 100 years ago, only about 5,000 people lived in Las Vegas.
Have you ever asked yourself, where does the water go that goes down the drain in your sinks and showers? Well, we're able to recycle that water by treating it to a very high level and returning it back to Lake Mead.
It's a really great way to conserve water, and we get credit for all of the water we put back into the lake. That means we can take more water out of Lake Mead than the 300,000 acre feet originally allowed. We've managed to grow from 5,000 people to more than 2 million while using the same water agreement, so that makes a big difference to our community.
How do we recycle this water? Imagine hundreds of miles of pipes underneath the city carrying that water from your house to one of 4 wastewater treatment facilities here in the Las Vegas Valley. Once there, the water goes through several levels of treatment to make sure that it meets all clean water standards. That clean, treated water gets released into the Las Vegas Wash, which carries it downstream into Lake Mead, where it's ready to be used again. Las Vegas's own unique water cycle.
So the amount of water that's recycled back into Lake Mead depends on the population of the Las Vegas Valley. And with the current population, we recycle about 200 million gallons of water a day.
That's a lot of water.
It sure is. It's enough to fill about 302 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
Now let's talk more about the part of this cycle that Julie and I get to work with, the Las Vegas Wash. We've already told you that all the water that goes down drains in our homes and businesses eventually makes its way to the wash. But there are also 3 other sources of water that flow into the wash. They are urban runoff, shallow groundwater, and stormwater.
Now, let me see if I've got this. Urban runoff is when people wash their cars in their driveway or their sprinklers overspray and the water runs down the gutter. Shallow groundwater is when water in the ground hits a solid layer in the Earth's substrate and flows sideways until it comes to the surface. And stormwater is from those rare occasions that we get rain here in the Mojave Desert.
That's correct, Julia. Now, let's go back in time to the 1990s, before any of you were even born. The Las Vegas Wash looked like this. You might not think this looks bad, but let's dive deeper into this image. First, you should know that the wash is located in the lowest part of the valley. This means that when it rains anywhere in Las Vegas, water that's not absorbed into the ground makes its way to the wash. So the wash can experience flash flood events, Do you see the large cliff near the left side of the screen? When the wash would flood, these cliffs would erode and all the sediment would be carried downstream, causing poor water quality. When the water reached Lake Mead, the sediment would settle out, creating a large delta in Las Vegas Bay. Increased daily flows from our growing population also contributed to erosion.
As you can imagine, this wasn't good. So in 1998, the Las Vegas Wash Coordination Committee was formed to help address erosion issues and protect this valuable resource. To date, the Coordination Committee has built 21 weirs throughout the wash and added more than 13 miles of bank protection.
We snuck a word in there that you've probably never heard of before. Weir. W-E-I-R. A weir is a dam-like structure that helps slow flows, which helps control erosion. These weirs also create large ponds upstream, allowing us to create about 150 acres of wetland habitat.
Now, let's talk briefly about some of the different types of habitat you can find at the wash. Tim just mentioned one of them, wetlands.
This habitat is permanently or seasonally inundated or saturated with water. Here you will find cattail bulrush and other plant species that require a lot of water to survive.
Another type of habitat that we have along the wash is riparian habitat. This habitat is located between the wash and the dry desert. This green zone on the banks is known as riparian habitat. Some of the species you can expect to see here are these big cottonwood and willow trees. These trees need access to water through their roots, but don't grow in the water like the wetland plants we just talked about.
And finally, I'm standing in desert scrub, the largest habitat zone you will find in Las Vegas. As you can see, I'm far away from the wash, so the plants that grow out here can survive on very little water. Some of the plants that you will find in desert scrub habitat are creosote bush, catclaw acacia, and globe mallow. All of these different types of habitat combined support more than 900 different species.
The wash has really changed over the years, but it's always been extremely important. For thousands of years, it supported indigenous people like the Southern Paiute. Then it provided resources for early Western explorers. Now, our urban populations rely on it to extend our water resources, and as a great place to enjoy outdoor recreation and see a lot of different native vegetation and wildlife.
If you want to see the Las Vegas Wash for yourself, visit the Clark County Wetlands Park, where you can explore hiking trails that run alongside the wash and stop in the Nature Center to learn even more about the area.